tell you what.
All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, y'all. This is, of course, the C-Dub brand. We're coming to you with a much-needed discussion, pastors and musicians, the silent battle uncovered. We're just going to let everybody introduce themselves, who they are, what they do real quick.
At right here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're right up there. But we can just talk.
Okay, yeah.
We'll start right there.
All right, my name is Garrick Ginyard from Los Angeles, California. Residing here in Atlanta, Georgia now, and I am a keyboardist.
I'm Jennifer Bliss, and I'm a guitar player in Atlanta, originally from Cleveland, Ohio. Glad to be here, too.
Oh, yeah. My name is Stephano Buchanan. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Yeah. You're supposed to. Oh, yeah. Right. And I'm excited to be a part of this conversation.
Much needed.
I'm a musician, and glad y'all are a part of this. It's your turn, Doc.
All right. My name is Kendall Hunter, and I'm also from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. South Florida in the house.
Yes, sir.
Moved here about 12 years ago. Currently is the minister of music of New Mountaintop Baptist Church, Bishop Reginald Littman.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon Mcrae, formerly of Valdosta, Georgia. I would say that I'm a keyboardist or organist. Everybody knows me by that, but I'm a drummer. See that? I'm a drummer. I'm a drummer.
I'm Timothy Starks. I am the senior pastor of Mount Nebo Baptist Church and Kingdom United Church, here based out of Georgia, from Georgia.
I'm Bishop J.D. Means Sr., the pastor of the Praise and Worship Celebration Center of Macon by way of Newark, New Jersey. I've been here now 24 years.
And I'm C-Dub. Y'all know me.
Apostle Kevon.
Hey!
No, I'm Kevon Carter. I'm known as the video guy, and I'm a musician and songwriter as well. And I'm happy to be here today.
Glad to have you.
Great. All right, so let's pop this off, y'all. I know everybody has a lot of things they want to talk about. We have a lot of, I could go for days, subjects. But I guess I just want to start with Bishop Means, and just to ask you, what's one of the main things that you see that's causing a disconnect between pastors and musicians? I know a lot of people don't even realize that our relationships that we have can, they cannot be the greatest. And so what's one of the main things you see?
The key factor to what you just said is relationship. First of all, even though the pastor is the lead person of that ministry, whatever the musician does, it needs to entwine with what the pastor's needs may be. One of the things I've discovered that most musicians, worship leaders, so on and so forth, they come in on the assignment, but they never find out what the pastor's vision is. So that will always cause a great conflict if you're just there kind of just doing what you want to do, and then all of a sudden you're trying to figure out why the power won't come in. It's because there's such a disconnect between the pastor and the musician.
They're still saying speak up, too. You might want to move that mic closer to you guys, too.
They don't hear that mic.
Oh.
They only hear some hearing from that.
Camera.
Yeah, we got to talk loud. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
Use your outside
since we're
voice.
here, anybody got anything to say on that?
Well, I just want to say, Bishop, I totally agree with what you're saying there, because it's very important, speaking from experience on my point, whenever I go into a ministry to actually provide musical services, I always make it a point to get to communicate and talk and get to know the pastor himself and find out what the vision is for that particular ministry. Because if he's a pastor who is really into worship, it doesn't make sense for me to come in and just every song, just put a praise on it. Especially if he's really into worship and it doesn't line up. I may want to shout bump every single song, and it doesn't work. You're going to have a conflict of interest there. Yeah. So I totally agree with what you're saying there.
And then
communication is the key.
Right. And then another thing that has to be understood, it has to be balanced, because you have a diversity of age groups in the church. So if your ministry is just gearing from that 18 to 40-year-old, then you still have the money saints. And I know that's a bold statement to say, But I've been a pastor 32 years. So that 40 and above crowd, they feel like, well, I don't want to go to church now because they ain't doing none of the music that I'm used to. So if you can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. You just got to have balance and mix it all together and make it work.
Yes, sir.
And Brian, you can feel free to come in when we're talking and get closer too.
Right.
All right, cool. I guess what's on y'all mind? I know everybody's here, and I'm sure everybody has.
We're over here itching. We got.
I'm not gonna sit here and set up all the questions.
I feel like a horse at the gate.
I know. I'm not even gonna lie. One of the biggest questions I have, and I'm sure I'm not the only one here, and maybe I'm the only person that's ever heard of this happening.
Nope.
Or,
No, you're not. I don't even know what it is, but you're not.
yeah, but and that is, this is one of them subjects. But tithing, okay.
Yes,
all right.
sir.
I have seen places. I've seen pastors. I've played for churches who, in the past, would not keep you if you wasn't a tithing, like if you wasn't tithing to the church. And that's I'm talking about like you're not even a member of the church.
Yeah.
They want you to tithe part of the money back that you're making for a living back to the church, or else they will replace you with somebody else. Is that?
That's
Or just that tithing ain't biblical, but that's another.
See, we're not going
We're not
there.
gonna go there.
talking about that.
We're not
But-
gonna. Okay.
Hey, we
The
should
question-
definitely talk about that.
No, that's not what this is about. The question is,
I'm gonna go there, girl. Yes,
should the pastors or should the church make the musician tithe
say
back
no.
to the church in order to keep their job?
Pastor Starks is getting ready to
Yeah.
say something in regards to
Say
that.
so,
But
say so.
but
Come
just
on.
let me say this. One of the things that most pastors need to do is first find out, even though you are coming to serve my ministry, do you have a church that you are actually a member of?
Yes, sir.
That's good.
Because even when it comes to that, because I've seen that happen so many times where pastors would literally fire musicians if they wouldn't tithe into their ministry.
Right.
But if you have loyalty and allegiance to your ministry, whatever church that your name is on the roster at, even though I play for Pastor Starks, still I'm obligated to my pastor. So that's where my tithe should go. Now my offering can be different because we don't want to get into this, but your offering is supposed to be greater than your tithe.
Reverend, don't hurt him, please. Don't hurt him,
I'm
please.
gonna sit on my hands.
Let me say this, and I was a musician for 30 years before I started pastoring, going into my 5th year at the current church I'm at now. I've never fired a musician for not tithing, but I remember strictly hearing the words that came from one of the pastors that I sat under. Giving back into the church helps create the opportunity for the church and what they're giving to you. And when I say this, my father never made me tithe back to his church because, first of all, when I'm a part of the church that I'm playing for, I'm serving at that ministry. I'm sitting under that pastor. I'm supposed to be growing from his word, which now creates the question, am I here to help the kingdom of God and the church push the vision, or am I here just because it's a gig? Now, if it's just a gig, I can see you giving back to your home church. But the question now becomes, if I'm serving at this church loyally and I am here every Sunday, rehearsal, Bible study, this is where I'm being fed. It would be of an instance of you allowing somebody to come live with you for free and they ain't got to pay no rent. And I'm not saying it is a way as if they should, but you have to kind of look at the dynamics in that question and really engage in it and see what's being said here. I don't make my musicians give back in the church. I do ask them to give back in the church.
And they
be
should.
seen giving, because let me tell you something. And faithfully, when I've given back to the church, people out of the church have walked up to me and gave to me with no expectation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so I show my faithfulness and my loyalty to the ministry in giving. I'd never be a pastor and ask everybody to give and then I not be seen giving as an example.
Exactly.
And so I know how musicians are. I was a musician. When you go out with your pastor, you want to be taken care of. When this is going forth, you want to be taken care of. So the question now becomes, does the musician come because they want to really build a relationship with not just the pastor, but the church? Because you can build a relationship with the pastor, but you still got to have a relationship with the church. There are different dynamics in joining the church. You don't have to join as a full-fledged member. You can join under watch care,
Right.
which means that you are a part of this church as long as you are here serving, but your main membership belongs to your home church, and your pastor agrees with you sitting under this pastor. See, it gets deep, because if your pastor is at home and he see you playing for another church, but you give into that church, and he may not agree with the word that you're sitting under, but it's fulfilling your financial obligations, it becomes a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to tithe to my church where my pastor is, then I'm going to ask my pastor, are you okay with me playing for this church? You know, because it's a lot of dynamics there that you can really look at in tithing back to the church. It's not the fact that we just trying to get money or get your membership or whatever the case may be. I just want to know if my musician can understand that the church is going to support you in every way. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to be there for you if you need something. You can come to me personally, but at the same time, show some effort. Don't just make it look like you're here just getting a check.
But Pastor, if a ministry makes a musician pay tithes or offering or whatever, the scripture says that we should be cheerful givers, right?
Right.
And not give grudgingly. Now, if you make me do something and I'm not doing it cheerfully, I'm doing it grudgingly, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So now it's not biblical. I'm going against the word, correct? So even though I give something, will the blessings come back to me because I'm not doing so exactly? So with that being said, there's that fine line, correct?
Yeah, it's
There's a fine
as
line
Pastor
between-
Stark said, it's a lot
Now,
that
me
can
personally,
go
right,
inside of that.
Right. Now,
Because
and I agree, and I like what he said, because if I'm a member of a church already and I'm playing for a ministry, I'm not going to pay my tithes there. I'm going to pay it at my home church. I don't mind giving offerings. I don't have a problem with that.
but
but
most
when you-
musicians do.
But
They'll sit there and won't
when
even
you put a
give.
mandate, I've known the ministry, they'll give you a check, and they'll take tithes out of the check.
Yeah.
And I've actually had that happen before. I had a pastor I played for at one point that if we didn't tithe, he started taking all our Fifth Sunday pay. Anytime it was Fifth Sunday, we didn't get paid.
Oh, nah.
And that was his way of getting
Now,
money
let-
back. But the
let-
thing about it is, before you say that is my question is, how come nobody, the pastors or the musicians, never talk about this before you sign
Sign
and
this, yes.
start playing?
It's always a surprise.
It's always a surprise.
Always a surprise.
I've played for
because-
5 pastors in my
Yes.
lifetime. I've never had one sit me down and explain what you just explained, ever.
Well, and then first off and
Never
foremost, most pastors don't have nothing for you to sign.
I mean, I'm not saying like,
I mean,
you
yeah, I
sign it,
mean,
but I'm
you
just
know,
saying
I'm
before
saying
you come on.
This conversation comes up and so forth, but a lot of times pastors are not going to say that because they just consider it to be an expectation. A lot of pastors won't go through the black and white and what they are expecting from you. Because a lot of times they first trying to make sure that you can play in every key.
Yeah.
Right.
First trying to make
Okay,
sure.
I got to get in there, and I'm even going to talk about the like certain apologetic interpretations of the word that I disagree with. I'm not even going to go there. But my concern is that just the really ambiguous gray, personally interpreted line of what's business and what is
That was the
being a
next
member.
question.
All right, you kind of sometimes I feel like pastors have this expectation to be business, but then when business comes, then expect you to play for free for stuff. People who are musicians that do this for a living full time, and what they're getting at that church is not enough to live on. So that's one side of it. But then another side of it is just that when you are trying to have them be members, but what about the cleaning company that cleans the church? Are they members too? Do you require them to come to all these different things? Do you try, like the attorney or the sound people that are sitting in the back, that private contractor that you have of these people that aren't members, but you're gonna have that same requirement of them to tithe, to participate with everything. It just seems like that line of gray has been so problematic And even if you have a relationship with the musicians where you're pastoring them in what I consider the biblical sense, where okay, I'm gonna know if you have a health issue. I want to know. I'm gonna pastor you. Let me help you show you God in this situation, but not from a Tony Robbins giving a spiritual lecture to a congregation. But I know this. We're doing life together, and let me help you or help me, because I think sometimes pastors are set up as the top of this pyramid when you just need some friends that are not trying to, just be like, okay, source me for everything. No, you need peers. So it's just, to me, it's just, yes. That's a whole lot, but I'm just going to leave
Let's
that.
let Brandon go, because
he's over there busting.
So interestingly enough, I have to say that the conversation is a duality for me, because I am actively a musician at my church, and I am actively an itinerant preacher. Mm-hmm. So I do both. Mm-hmm. My father's pastored for the last 32 years.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I've seen that side of it. The biggest breakdown, in my personal opinion, and even the tithing conversation, boils down to, and I have to touch on this before we go on to it, just briefly, and I will get around. Mm-hmm. When you are in music ministry, there's a different tie into the overall ministry, I would say, than cleaning per se. When you're a part of the worship of the church, the actual worship, the priest or the high priest and the Levites had a relationship. I ain't trying to get too spiritual. I just got to go here because we got to understand. The high priest and the Levites had a relationship that the parishioners who may have cleaned the temple didn't necessarily have. They may have swept out, they may have picked up something, but the Levites and the high priest, they had a specific type of relationship. Right. So there has to be a relationship.
Yeah.
With every church, I've been to a church where they said, this is our practice. We take tithes out of your check. And then I've been in a church that didn't say that. But every church that I've gone to, I've paid tithes. That was just not biblical. I'm not going down the biblical end of it, but that was just a requirement that I've always known. That's always been that's what I was taught. So I always paid tithes. Yeah, I'm in a situation where I'm married, but this is what we do. Out of my check, I pay my check tithes to the church. My wife pays her check tithes to the church. I have about 2 or 3 streams of income. Out of those, I pay tithes to my mom's church. I pay tithes to my dad's church. My extra streams, out of those, they get 10% of that, 10% of this. My church that I serve, they get 10% of my check. So I believe on my home church you get some. I believe my local church you get some. Right. And then my offering just, my church, my local church. Sometimes if I'm home, I feel that I give $20, whatever the case may be. But I think a lot of it, the whole tithes piece, we wouldn't have anger and frustration if it was a relationship. My pastor, I can call him right now and say, Bishop, I'm in jail. Not because I'm the minister of music, but because he knows me.
The relationship.
He's going to be like, okay, what we got to do to get you out? He ain't going to ask me what I did. Right. He's going to come get me, and then he's going to be like, boy,
what you did.
Right. What you getting into? Right. But I know ushers that have that same relationship with him, because our church is not huge, but it's built around relationship. So I think a lot of times, if there's a relationship, if we cool, and I'm your pastor, I'm your spiritual leader, but we cool, you're not going to have a problem sewing back into something that we're building together.
Right.
Because we're building it together for the community. You know what I'm saying? I ain't just asking you to come play so we can get all these people so I can drive a Bentley. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. We build a ministry together so we can impact these streets. You know what I'm saying? Relationships. So that's
where trust comes in.
Yeah.
It's a trust issue.
Yes,
because a lot of musicians, they don't have a problem getting to know the pastor. They don't have a problem building that relationship, but it's a trust issue.
Yes, sir.
Because most musicians have been hurt in the past anyway. So let's be real.
Yes,
We've been hurt. Yeah. So we always come into a situation already with our defenses up.
Yeah.
You
but both sides do that though. It's not
both
just
sides. You're right. You're absolutely
some
right.
pastors that have been hurt too.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. That's why open dialogue needs to happen.
But that's why it doesn't happen.
When you just said something,
you're right. That's
why it doesn't happen.
Right.
Can you afford me? Yes, I can. All right, you hired, and that's it.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, it's time to come
up. I have a question.
You know what I'm saying?
I have a question for the pastors. I see it all the time. During the interview process, when they're putting it out there on Craigslist, this and that, whatever, they always say, must be spirit-filled.
What does that mean?
They always want a musician that's spirit-filled.
What does that mean?
They get in, they're playing, that's all, spirit-filled.
Must be able
but when it comes time, and the problem that I have is they want you to be spirit-filled in the beginning, and they want to be concerned with how you're living in your soul, but
down the line,
when they get ready to let you go, They don't care about all that.
care.
Nope.
So my problem is when a pastor decides to let a musician go, it's almost like they don't even care about him anymore.
Come
Let
on.
me say something about that.
Yeah.
They
So
don't care
I
about
played
that
it.
soul.
I had a lot
That
of church.
line.
I played a few churches, and
Yeah.
one church I played at, we had 2 services, right?
I feel like
2
we should
services in the
name these
morning.
churches. I wanna
Then we
know.
had
Afterwards.
we had 2 services in the morning. Then we had an outside engagement, like about an hour away, right? Now, the drummer was late all the time and stuff, and they decided they were gonna let him go. How about they didn't let him go after the second service? They
No.
waited until the evening service.
And then they let him go.
Drove an hour away
For the free
right?
service, 'cause that was free.
For the free
Right.
service, and then after that, when he was an hour away, when he could have just been at home, they told him, "Look, yeah, we're not gonna need you to come back
You see?
next
You
week."
see?
Wow.
And it's like,
Really? Exactly.
Yeah.
And that puts a damper. Now,
But that's
personal experience. Check this out. I'm playing for a ministry, and Bishop, and I want you can jump on this. I was talking to my wife, and I said, you know what? I'm considering possibly joining this particular ministry. Felt good about it. The people were good, but you know what? They decided I guess they couldn't afford my services any longer, so they're like, you know what? We're just gonna let you go. But I'm like, you know what? Really? What about saying, let us minister to you. Let us pray with you. Did that happen? No. Just go on
That
and
don't really
shuffle the
happen.
next person in and then do it for $200 less.
I know. I'm gonna be totally honest with you, and I've done that before, but it's not because of the reason that we could not afford the musician any longer. It's because the musician was so disrespectful to who I was as a pastor, or to the office that he was operating in, that I had to let him go. I had done everything, took food off of my own table. I was just telling Brandon about this on the way up. I've been looking for a musician for the last 4 months. Finally got one, and I had brought this young man in. Been trying to contact him through social media and couldn't get him on the phone. Finally got him on the phone. Hired him. He had been done wrong by so many pastors. Pastors that told him, "I'm gonna pay you this, come play," and then he looking at the end of service and they ain't give him nothing. And so I brought him in. I had him playing. He was, before he even started with me, I as a pastor made a sacrifice and gave money out of my pocket so his kid could have diapers. I in return 2 days later went and bought groceries for this individual so he can have food in the house. I ain't putting names out there, but I'm explaining the situation. So when he came aboard not having to pay me anything back. It was me generally as a pastor helping his family.
Yeah.
But guess what? When he got to me, and then he didn't know the songs, I didn't trip. I didn't trip at that. When I seen that there's certain dynamics in service that I couldn't go with him, I didn't trip because you know what I'm saying? I'm saying he's young, he can grow with me.
Yeah.
But then when I start figuring out that you hit me every day for stuff, and now I find out you're trying to feed a habit, so it corresponds differently, because I've seen musicians leave churches because the church down the street got an opening and they paying more money. So your homeboy hits you up and be like, "Hey man, we're looking for a musician. Now would be the perfect time for you to get in." And because your whole crew over there playing, you leave me high and dry. "Hey pastor, hey doc, I ain't gonna be able to do it no more." And then you'll do it through a text message, and most times. I've had a musician hired, man, and ready to play, and they tell me through text message that they can't play 6 hours before service getting ready to start. So I can understand the high and dry police. But when we say spirit-filled, we mean somebody who has a relationship with Christ and who is attentive on their instrument and has a passion to play it.
My question is, how do you figure that out in one interview?
You can't figure it out in one interview.
You can't.
But you can provide references that a pastor can call and see, well, how was this musician with you? Well, how do you think their relationship is? If you belong to a home church and you're going to be tithing, let the pastor talk to your pastor so that they build a relationship within themselves. So that your pastor know you're getting fed. Because guess what? Even going back to that piece, if I'm a pastor of a church, my members expect me to tithe back into the church. They don't expect me to tithe to my home church. If I say I belong to J.S. Hammond, but y'all write me a check and I'm going to tithe back to J.S. Hammond, I ain't going to tithe into my church. That's poor pastoring on my end. I should be able to sow back into the sheep that I lead. And I'm not just the only leader in the room, in the sanctuary. So, that goes back to that whole aspect in regards to that and being able to set the different levels and the dimensions of what the expectations are. A pastor should
definitely talk about tithing. A pastor should sit down with the board and have strategic plans if we're going to let somebody go.
And it happens.
You know
I'm not saying it doesn't.
the funny thing that happens? A lot of times when churches are looking for musicians, worship leaders, why do they always have the people searching for it that don't have a clue what they're looking for, of what they're looking for?
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't even know the keys on their ring other than the keys on the board. Why?
Because they may have administrative skills, but they don't understand the whole musical aspect behind
Right.
what goes on
Yeah.
of hiring a musician.
Yeah.
You know, and nothing worse than a musician being hired for a position and having somebody over you that knows nothing about music.
Right.
You know,
Right.
That's when you have the most frustrating.
A case in point. There was a large church.
Wow.
that-
Kevon over here being quiet over here. He got all these nerds.
It was a large church that I know of. So they were looking for a drummer. So they had got this guy that used to work for the Board of Education to go looking for the drummer. So what he had done, he went to some of the other churches in the community to find out, well, first of all, what do you all pay the drummer? Then they wanted to bring a guy in that had like 25 years experience. But because of the demographics, he was suggesting that the church will pay the drummer, and this was, I'm not going to say no name, but they were paying the drummer by the hour. So they tried to pay the drummer like $35. You're talking about a grown person, you with experience, degrees, and you're paying him $35 an hour.
That doesn't work.
And I'm saying, no, this is not. This is, and like Brandon said, you know, you can't call no names of these churches. Anything I say twice, I can say it. Anything I say once, I can say it twice. But you know, there are some churches that's out there, and they're thinking that they're really flowing in excellence, and they have nothing but a catastrophe going on. And that's why a lot of the musicians, it seems like a lot of musicians are going through a revolving door.
Right.
You know, because first of all, you're going to get what you pay for.
Yes.
But then on the other end,
Wait. That was a whoop trigger cue right there.
It was perfect.
You had it right there.
you're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah.
When I was pastoring in McDonough about 12, 13 years ago, a guy calls me, and he says to me, well, I heard you looking for a musician. I said, yeah, I'm looking for a musician. Well, when you're looking for somebody to start, I said, well, as soon as possible. I said, first of all, how much are you charging? What are you expecting from us?
Right.
He breaks out and says $600 a week. Okay, I said, so what you gonna do? You got to tell me what you're gonna do. Apparently, he didn't know who he was talking to.
Right.
He did.
So he said, well, I'm gonna just come in and play. Okay. Now what I need to know, do you play in every key?
Yeah.
Because if you're playing and you have to transpose,
Reverend.
first of all, you ain't the dude for what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Put them on their organ and find out.
Yeah.
So
That's
now
too
we
In
busy
fact,
already. Oh.
Don't even bring your keyboard, because what I found out with a lot of people that bring their keyboard, they're so in their comfort zone. So you're thinking they're really playing in C sharp, that's on the Hammond,
We done got on transport.
and they're really
Entree.
playing
Flat.
through the So I said to him, I said,
Well, I got.
He said, come play the organ. He said, come play the organ. That's what Bishop said.
I said, yeah, I put them on the organ.
Yes.
right,
And
right.
I know then, and I go to rehearsal and I modulate with them to see if they can hold in that key and stay strong.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you mean.
But my thing is, if you can't outplay me, then you don't need to be playing for
Reverend,
me.
ain't nothing that the people.
No, I'm not saying it like that. No, please don't y'all get this wrong. You know, because I can take you to a traditional church and keep church where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I may not play all of the new chord changes because, you know, if I'm paying you, why don't you do it?
Right.
You know, why I'm gonna pay you and then I still gotta be the musician.
Right.
You know, I gotta go to the 1, go to the 5. Give me a 9th right here. Give me a flat at 5th. Why I got to call all of
I
that?
had to
Get
let
your
a
job
musician
done.
know. I had to
And
let
then
a
they get
musician
mad
know.
with you.
I had a musician. He couldn't play organ. He brought his own keyboard. I understood. I worked with him.
Okay.
And I had a bishop come preach for me, man, that we know.
He had to call
And
you.
he said, put me in C sharp.
That's the easiest
And the
key.
dude played it, and he said, no, that's not C sharp. He didn't know he had perfect pitch.
Yeah.
He says, he played it again. He said, no. He said, are you transposing? He looked at him.
Please
He
don't
said,
tell me you
yeah.
told him the number
He
to go
says,
to.
please do this. Go down. And I was sitting there like,
Please.
I'm so embarrassed. You know,
Wow.
like in service.
Trust
Like,
me, it has
go
happened
down
to me.
three. I was just like,
It
oh
has
my
happened
goodness.
to me.
So finger-wise, he was in C sharp.
Figure wise, but he told me go down three more. He was like, and I
So,
was just
so
like,
it's pretty much safe to say that transposing is a big turnoff.
That's the
It very
devil.
much so
It's the devil.
It's
All
a
right,
sin.
you're hearing that from pastors, not
Transposing,
musicians.
and I'm a
Pastors.
32-year, I'm a
you know what?
40-year musician and a 32-year pastor.
can all agree on that,
Transposing is the devil.
yeah, because
You
if you're
know.
that passionate, you want to know. You don't want to just.
All right,
Yeah.
so can I ask this question? Because there's a lot of musicians watching, a lot of musicians that play different instruments, and I get this question. I see it pop up all the time on Facebook. Why do organists and keyboard players get paid more than the drummers? I get this question. They
My
say,
wife asked me that last
they say,
night.
are they more? The service couldn't go without a drummer, or the service couldn't go without this or that. So why is it that? Thankfully I'm a keyboard player and an organist.
Right.
But
Right.
why is it that we get paid more than? Can y'all answer that? Because a lot of people want to know.
And guitar.
Guitar players
No
want-
capos. No capos.
Tell him.
No, capos is the thing that guitar players put.
We're on a different subject.
Come on,
man.
No, I just had to throw that in though. Because she's a guitarist.
Yes, and I have,
You-
So why is that?
let-
you know,
okay.
we gonna talk about that later, right there.
Okay.
Why? It's what now?
Can you,
I'm
the
a-
question is why is it that organists and keyboardists get paid more than the
Guitar
drummer or
players.
bass player?
Well,
or
actually-
it just keeps going down and down.
I-
Why is it?
Well, first of all, when you look at the whole makeup of your music ministry, the most important instruments
Yeah.
that you have is really your organ player, or I'm a 60s baby, so the piano.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
Right.
So or the keyboard.
Yeah.
So that's the most important because
That's right.
at least a drummer can't keep you in A flat,
No. Right.
but a pianist
Right.
keep
Absolutely.
or an organist
Exactly.
can keep you in A flat. They,
It's more of a
It's primary.
it's more of a demand, right? It's a primary instrument.
I think
when
about
you-
it
And as far as the pay scale,
Right.
I mean, I look at it as what can you bring to the table? What do you have that's going to be beneficial to everything? Because if not, we can keep singing a cappella like we've been doing.
But see, when you think about it practically like that, now I think about it practically, pragmatically, what makes sense. 9 times out of 10, at most smaller churches, whoever's playing the piano or the organ is directing the choir.
Absolutely.
Right.
Is teaching the voice.
Right.
Right. Leading the song.
Right.
Teaching part.
That's what I
If
was getting
it's-
ready to say. Go
if-
back to the beginning of the structure and how it was. Organists and pianists was directing, so they were playing the minister of music role. It's
Exactly.
separated today because you got praise and worship leaders, you got directors that separate that
Yeah.
position.
Music directors,
But
Yeah,
remember,
there you go.
when I was a young boy back then, the drums was not a primary thing. Matter of fact, drums wasn't even being played at funerals back then.
Listen,
They would tell you, we don't need no
We
drums.
don't need no
at the
drums.
funeral.
Right.
All we need is the organist or the pianist because people were keeping beats with,
Tambourines.
I got to
tambourines.
point out this comment real quick.
Foot
Yeah,
It
yeah,
says,
please.
Haley Reed said, honestly speaking, vocalists should get paid more
Because
than,
no one.
than even the organist or pianist because no one comes to hear the organ.
They come for the
for
choir and the word.
and the word.
Woo, she must be just
What?
crying.
Okay.
So she's saying the vocalists should get paid more
So-
than even the organist.
How can the church pay the choir? Is basically what that question comes.
No, the worship.
I think she's saying the
Oh, she's trying to say the role of the worship.
The worship
Well,
leaders
worship
should-
leaders do get paid in churches that I thought.
No, she's saying they should get paid more. They should,
Oh, they should get paid.
She said, honestly speaking, vocalists should get paid more because no one comes to hear the organ. Now, if you got a singing preacher, now you got a
Or
toss
a singing organist.
or singing organist.
So
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta say this. I'm just
Go ahead,
I'm
Jen.
gonna mess this whole
Go
thing
ahead,
up.
Bliss.
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
I'm ready.
Come on, mother, mess it up. Come on through.
All right, and I love everybody now.
come on, grace upon
Come
grace.
on, come on. We love you
Grace
too.
Disclaimer,
upon
right?
grace.
Disclaimer, because we're talking about you know, you want the musicians to create an atmosphere of music that makes people open to hear the Holy Spirit and set up their hearts for the word that comes forth, to get all of the other stuff that's in their mind out. That's what the power of music is, and set up that atmosphere for the word to come forth and all that kind of stuff, because you want people to meet Christ, you want people to have their lives changed, you want the Holy Spirit to be tangible and manifest in people's lives, right? Okay, if that is the case, why don't more pastors pastor and deal with some of this strange fire that's coming from the music department when I know many churches that have musicians that are running through the church.
You
doing all
just
this other
touched
kind
on
of stuff.
something. Come on through.
You're judging
Come on.
the
Come on.
quality of
Come
you
on.
are judging the quality of the worship, but you're not looking at the quality of the life of the person. And that's what you're more.
Where's my
That's
checkbook?
what you're more concerned with, Pastor,
Y'all take
who
cards.
is supposed to help musicians or everybody walk through the word and manifest it in their life. Not like everybody got to be perfect. And then, what about other pastors that you know ain't living right? And then you wonder why there's so many cynical people, especially among musicians, and we see all this stuff.
I'm gonna give you one word for that.
It's just like, if we're gonna be Christians, let's be Christians.
I'm gonna give you one word for that.
Okay.
And it comes down to accountability.
Woo, that's good.
A lot of pastors do not submit to other pastors that have accountability. Now, I've sat under some pastors that had friends that held them accountable.
Yes.
Especially pastors in this city. But now you see this new movement of pastors that feel like they don't have nobody that's going to hold them accountable. As well as you see this new movement of musicians that feel like they don't have to be held accountable.
Wow.
Everybody don't want the pastor in their business and this and that. But now let me go back to what you said and let me really mess it up even more.
Okay.
It's not about just the musician's lifestyle and how they living, because they're not the only ones responsible for creating an atmosphere. It is the church, period, the congregation that's supposed to create an atmosphere, because when I come to church, I should come consecrated and ready to serve the God. Serve the God that we serve. The Bible opens up by saying that. It says, make a joyful noise unto the Lord, serve the lands, all ye gladness. He's talking to the people. And then he gets to the instruments. But because we have people that don't come to church prepared, we put that pressure on the music ministry to prepare everything. And when we put that pressure on them to prepare everything, we want everything to be set a certain way by the time we get into the service, so that it flows the way we want to. But if people came to church prepared, you wouldn't need 5 and 6 and 7 songs to try to play jukebox in church and hit the right number. I wait till the DJ play my song so that I can get up and start clapping. If I'm prepared and I'm giving my total heart to God and living the right way, I've been preparing myself all week. A pastor has to prepare himself all week for what he's going to do on Sunday morning. Ain't no more of that late night stand up on Saturday unless God is putting the finishing touches or switching you in a prophetic way. But watch this. We can't come in and just do this and do that. If you're not prepared, then you're not prepared. I used to play with a musician. I'm not going to call his name, but he played for a very prominent pastor. And he told me that if they did not have the music right, that pastor would come out of the office and he would tell them, stop the music. In service, he would say, stop the music. I pay y'all to be here 7 days a week. There is no excuse for you not knowing this hymn. Now go to another song, and I want the hymn learned by the following service. It was his guidelines. They getting paid for that. They wanted to be full-time musicians, so it was an expectation. So they had to come prepared.
But that's what I'm talking about, as far as you can't have it both ways. Are they going to be professionals and have these musicians, or that you want them to be members and submit to this ministry? Are you going to pastor people? If that's your closest sphere of influence, I guess. The thing is, I'm talking about musicians being cynical. Okay. If you talking about real relationships, because there's like when it comes to the Bible, there's no respecter of persons. Certainly, you follow somebody's leadership, but no one's necessarily more anointed than anybody else. You can hear God speak through anybody. You can speak through a mule. He can speak with anybody. So if we're talking about being real Christians and having a real Christian fellowship, and some pastors can be more concerned about people doing their job as opposed to how they're living, even if they're not doing their job. Those things I'm saying is that those things get so mingled and crossed, and what are we going to do with it?
I want to respond.
Because even the Bible, it's not he weren't talking about, when Paul was writing the epistles, he wasn't talking about the church over in Lithonia or the church down in College Park. He was talking to cities. So if we're a city, if Paul is writing an epistle to the church of Atlanta, and that is the next scripture in the part of Pauline epistles in there, then we have an accountability to each other. We can't be doing this silo kind of a thing. And so, but that's.
Let me just piggyback off that one thing. The question is, do you as pastors, do you want musicians to come in and just get the job done? Or do you want what's called, we like to use the term now, minstrels. We are Levites. What do you want?
Leaders.
What do you want?
I believe pastors want I guess you call it minstrels. Minstrels
that's
according
the
to
relationship.
according to 1 Chronicles 9. That they can build a relationship with, that they can trust to be in their church.
Yes, sir.
And so forth and so on. I don't think they just want people who is looking at it as a gig.
Okay.
Because guess what?
Right.
Let me first say this. Any church that I played for, I sat there and I played and I listened to that pastor to see if I could be a member of this church or grow. Now my father's a pastor. My father pastored for years. I used to play for my father, but my father wasn't trying to hold me. He said, I don't care wherever you play as long as you're growing in the Word. Right. And if I could grow in the Word, I didn't have no problem being a member there because I understand that I don't treat the church like a gig. I treat it as a place where I can grow, where I can glean from, where I can learn, because I'm sitting under that pastor.
So you know what?
And so
If you think back on the back of that, as a musician, you can have both ways. The craziest thing, I play in a corporate band. I do a lot of secular stuff, and then I do church.
Oh, that's another topic.
Yeah, we go get that.
I just had a conversation with my corporate band leader. Shameless plug, after party experience. He said, let me tell you, he said, we're gonna get to the point one day where we can pay you so you don't have to go back to church. That's what he said.
Interesting.
And it was a wonderful gesture.
Yeah.
You know what my response was? It's not about the pay for me at my church.
Right, of course. Right.
For me, I consider myself a minstrel,
Right.
and I work for a musician at different times in different places. So when I go to my church, I'm listening to my pastor because he's my pastor. I'm playing to make atmosphere, worship. He can chastise me and all that. When I go to a gig, that's a whole nother conversation. Because ain't but a few things you're going to say to me the wrong way on the gig. I don't view gig as holy, but I view my church as another. So for me, I separate it anyway. So it's not hard for me to have that relationship and that separation with my pastor. Right. He's not but you understand what I'm saying?
About
That's me.
Yeah. And it seems like the common denominator that we all agree on is relationships.
Yes, that's what it comes back to.
I'm a business owner. So I have employees
Yes,
and I have contractors. Check this out. My contractors, they come in and get the job done.
Boom.
I don't know anything about them.
Right.
I don't go out to lunch with them. I don't have relationships with them.
Right. Good
My
saying,
employees,
That's
a whole different story.
Right.
They're
Right.
invested in the company.
Right.
They have an interest in the company.
So
that
that
the
flip
same
that
thing.
flip to why some people
take it to
why
church.
maybe
Take
some
it to
people are
church.
getting paid more because if the musical director, the worship pastor is an employee, and I have a relationship with you, I just need a drummer. We can hire a
There's a lot
drummer.
of churches
Is that
It's
maybe
easy to
why
have
this
a
got
relationship
$600
with
check,
some-
and this is a $200 check?
Right.
Could be.
But
Right.
can I rewind the tape to
Go
where
ahead.
she was? What's your name again? sweetie?
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
Deaconess.
She said, "Mother almost got an offering from me a few minutes ago." But one of the things that is that's really hurting this new millennium church is because of the fact pastors, they really just want the most poppin' band, the most poppin' worship leaders, the most poppin' singers. But you said something key. They never talk about the lifestyle. And that's why a lot of your mainstream churches got in and everything going on. Because when you go there, most of the time, I'm just saying most of the time, and I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Because I know people start chiming in on Facebook. But the reason that a lot of people flock to some of the churches is because they've gotten so complacent that the same people that they see singing and playing in the clubs on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are really some of your worship leaders and musicians
Yes,
on
That are-
Sunday.
that are trying to earn their living because the church doesn't necessarily
at
pay
the
for
same,
everything that
yeah,
you need,
at-
so you got to take yes.
and I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that you're trying to make your living.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you don't have any loyalty for your pastor, at least have it for God. If you don't have any allegiance to your pastor, at least have it for God.
What does that have to do with loyalty?
No. Because of the fact, first of all, when you said something. Now you got to remember everything you said a few minutes ago.
Okay.
You said a lot of times you have all of these monogamous relationships that's going on with musicians,
Yeah.
in the church, just doing all of this stuff, and the pastor is not, remember, cynical. The pastor is not really addressing that because he just want to make sure, my music is popping
Yeah.
when I get out here on Sunday.
Yeah.
But lifestyle, what you going to do about lifestyle?
Yeah.
I'd rather have, at least 2 or 3 people, even as a pastor, 2 or 3 people that I know are trying to get the Holy and the Ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Than just have all of this disarray around me, and then there's no connection when we come in to worship God because you got all of this filthiness.
But isn't that the role of the pastor? Not beyond what church sometimes has become as far as a lecture and a concert. Going back to the biblical reason for not the office or the pastor or the CEO pastor, whatever that thing is, shepherding, leading. Like if you see a musician, I'm gonna do it both ways. You see a musician that ain't living right and all over and running through the whole church, but they are bringing that popping thing. Are you pastoring in a way? And I'm just not saying this to you, but in general. Are you pastoring in a way where you're gonna put your hand around that person? I'm not talking about you, baby. I'm gonna put your hand around that person and say, "Look, let me show you what the word really says about this. Let me help you. Let me help you understand. Let me help you fall in love with God more, so you can fall out of love with sin. Let me show you how to do that." But then, but it's the other thing around. Like if the pastor's not living right, if the pastor's preaching heresy, if the pastor is not, if there are any areas where even though it's their church and it's their leadership, but they are off, and it's not like you ever confront somebody in a way that's disrespectful or makes anybody feel disrespected, but can the pastor receive any kind of correction from a musician in any kind of way, or is it all under this umbrella of submission? Is it always under there's a way to deal with those?
Go ahead.
All right.
He ain't said nothing all day.
Okay,
I'm good.
Kevon being quiet over here, you gonna talk too.
You're right. That's what you're saying too. I'm actually flipping because I'm
Looking
seeing
at
a lot
some of
the
these
responses.
comments. Yeah.
And so a lot of the responses like, can I play for Beyonce Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then play for Bishop on Sunday? Is that okay? Is that fine? Can I do that? Is that acceptable?
Listen.
Can I do that? Can I still be on the road with Beyonce? I can play Lemonade and then play on Sunday morning Total Praise.
Can the people that did it answer? Can the people that did it answer?
See, can the people that did it answer?
Can the people that did it answer? Can we do it?
Yeah.
You did it. I did it. Not only did we do it, we did it successfully, and there was not an intermingling of the two.
But I think the thing is, they're not asking, can you do it? We
Can
asking
they?
y'all, can we do it right?
Well,
That's the thing.
There we go.
I think that's what they're really asking.
and I'm looking at some of the
Like, is it
comments,
okay?
so I'll just kind of skate lightly because
Listen,
I'm not afraid of confrontation.
not a day in my
Nah.
life.
Saturday.
But at the same time, I think one of the reasons why a lot of our musicians in the church are playing secular music
Right.
is because of the fact you just said something about Beyonce with Lemonade. I don't know, but a lot of the musicians are playing, Beyonce and Lemonade because the church can't pay them to even get Lemonade.
Right.
Like they're supposed to.
That's a good one.
Right.
That's a good one.
You know.
Or you gotta
So
pay
I think we all report to a corporate job outside of the church.
Yeah.
Right.
Many of the members report to a corporate job outside the church, whether they're serving, whether they're singing in the choir, whatever the case may be. Now, if Lemonade is going to change your spiritual disciplining, it may cause a conflict.
Right. Right.
But as long as you can separate the two, I can't see a problem with it because that's how you're making your living.
One's a profession.
If you are a full-time
Somebody
musician,
just said that, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. One is a profession and the other is
One is
ministry.
ministry.
Bishop
So,
David
you know,
Jackson, okay.
If you are
Come on, David.
if you are a full-time musician, I'd rather you do that than running around trying to find every church gig
Listen
to
to
be
me.
able to
True.
milk churches
Listen.
out of money because you can't expand your profession and discipline yourself.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, Rev, is a case by case situation too, because Paul said, you know, some things that's sin to you ain't necessarily sin to me.
Right.
There's something
Well,
that, there's an objective line. We know what is, but there's some
Yeah.
things that are sins.
Yeah.
And there's some
I
things that are
agree.
weight. Now, if
Right.
playing this kind of music makes you feel a certain way, and
Right.
you married makes you want to do a certain thing, and you out on the road, then maybe playing that kind of music.
Right.
Ain't for you.
You know what?
Absolutely.
Look, let me do this. I wasn't gonna go here, but since we're here,
Go there. Go
all right. So
there.
let me tell you just a little story about me. So I grew up. I never played any secular song until I moved to Atlanta. Okay.
Right.
All right. I'm just being honest.
Blame it on
I was 20,
Atlanta.
25 when I moved here. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Never been to a club. Never did anything. Never played anything but gospel music my whole entire life growing up.
Yeah.
Right. I was taught that you just don't do it. And so you know, as coming up here and becoming more of a man and growing up,
Right.
you know, I was like, okay, I just feel like, you know, it's something more. It gotta be more than music than just gospel music. Because the commercial that's on the TV right now, who wrote that music? That's not
Yes.
gospel. You know, the kids song, Old MacDonald Had a Farm,
It ain't gospel.
somebody put music to that. Is that wrong? You know, so
Yeah.
I said to myself, you know, I want to know for myself, is this wrong? I told God, I want to know for me, I'm going to do it, and if it feel wrong, I want you to make it feel wrong.
Yes.
Honestly, for real. So this what happened. This what happened. True story, y'all. I got this little gig. I thought it felt like a club to me. Now y'all gonna laugh at this. It was J.R. Crickets. All right?
It was a club.
J.R. Crickets. It was a club to me, right?
It was a club.
So it was the whole set was all Michael Jackson. All right, MJ, all MJ songs. I had never played an MJ song before until I moved.
Yeah.
Murdered them too. Though.
All right.
Right.
Now this is true. I can't make this up. So played the whole set, and I felt weird because it wasn't gospel chords.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't playing no church changes. So in my mind, I'm like, man, this feel weird, but
Yeah.
I don't feel bad, but
It's weird.
it just feel weird. So I finished the gig, right, and we was all packing up. All right, and I was thinking to myself, okay. I mean, I don't feel, Lord, you know, I didn't get struck. You know, I you know, because that's how I felt like it was just something terrible was gonna happen to me, right? After the gig, I was packing my stuff up. This guy came up to me. The first thing he said, he didn't even ask me my name. He didn't ask me anything. The first thing he said to me was, "What church do you go to?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Huh?" He said, "What church do you go to?" And I told him what church I went to. He said, "Man, I want to come to your church tomorrow." I was like, "I don't understand. Where does it come from?" You know, he
I
said,
know
"Man, the way you
exactly.
played tonight."
Yes,
he said,
sir.
It was so anointed.
Yes, sir.
That he said, no, this is what he told me. He said, "Look, I walked out of church 7 years ago with my middle finger up while the preacher was preaching." He said, and tonight coming here and hearing you play made me want to go back to church.
And
Listen,
And
man.
today,
Listen here.
that guy is a preacher today.
Look at
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
And that changed my life because I said, now, okay, what if I had not done this?
Exactly.
What if my light didn't shine out? Because it's like, how does
Exactly.
your light shine unless it's in a dark
And see,
spot?
that's
Bruh.
where we get it mixed
You know.
up at.
That was good,
Jesus
Fidel. That was
went
good.
into the synagogue
That
to
was real
teach conveniently.
Yes.
His ministry was
Wasn't
not
in
in
the
the
church.
synagogue.
No.
It was on the outside of
Yeah,
the
the
wall.
publicans and
We
synagogue.
keep telling people to
Outskirts.
come because we refuse to go. Now let me give you an example. I've been doing a series in Daniel. Daniel is God's man. He comes from the kingdom, from the tribe of Judah. He represents God's kingdom, but he's serving in a Babylonian
Yes.
or a Persian
Persian
kingdom.
place, huh?
When they tell him not to pray, he says, y'all got to be kidding. I'm still going to pray. When the king gives a
Right.
decree in chapter number 6,
Yes, sir.
nobody
Yeah.
prays for 30 days.
Stop that.
Daniel says, First day, he goes home, he prays 3 times a day. You know what he's saying? He's saying that even though I'm serving this kingdom, I'm not
Stop
going to
Reverend.
let anything jeopardize my relationship
Reverend.
with my God.
Stop Reverend.
And that's how it has to be. You can serve wherever you're supposed to serve.
Yeah.
You can serve wherever you've been hired.
That's good.
But the moment that it disrespects your relationship with your
God.
God,
Your
that's when
relationship,
I
right.
would stop.
Right,
But if I'm playing for Beyonce and Beyonce is good for me and clean for me, and they're not trying to get me all high and get me all drunk and get me all sleeping with everybody else, that makes me step out of my godly character, I'm fulfilling my assignment, and the Lord will send along the way whomever He wants that He wants me to minister to that could have their life changed. Don't think that a life can't be changed at a Beyonce concert, because I'm here to tell you my life was changed when I was in the club with a drink in my hand. And that's when I heard the voice of the Lord calling me. Drove home throwing all my stuff out of the car and that I listened to that was secular, that pulled me to a lifestyle I wasn't supposed to be in. And I'm a PK kid. And when I walked in the house, my mama was sitting on the steps crying, and I confessed my calling to her. So I got changed in the midst of a situation, but God allowed me to go through the situation for me to see, you can go and do all this all you want, but it'll never fulfill you the way I can. And I realized it was jeopardizing my relationship with my Lord and Savior. And it's like the prodigal son story. You go through these things in life, so I'm not finna sit here and say, you can't play this, you can't play that. Because guess what? Every gospel artist is not hiring every musician. Every gospel artist is not going to give you the opportunity or the chance. Everybody out here tracking, everybody out here gigging, everybody out here posting videos with shout bumps and everything. They doing it on Facebook, they're doing it on YouTube, they're doing everything. And regardless of your hits, is your hits. I mean, I sit here and I listen to people like PJ Morton, I listen to people like Corey Henry doing that thing musically. Musically. So, you know, what? We don't trip when Aretha Franklin get ready to sing for something that's Christian, knowing that she sung for other. So don't throw the rock and think that you ain't gonna get no rock story back at you. So I'm not finna dismiss a musician that does secular music. But as long as they can, one, separate it from the ministry, control their behavior and their relationship with God, then you go forth like that.
I really think it's people, this is no lie, I really think it's people that are called to that secular. Y'all music, Omar, y'all have heard of Omar? Real Big B?
Yeah.
Y'all,
Beast.
listen. All I've ever seen Omar play is secular stuff. He came to a church I was in Tallahassee, really good friends of the minister of music at the place. When I tell you Omar got on that organ and he sent us in a worship that I ain't experienced, I said, now how this joker,
Mary J, everybody.
How this joker can get on the organ and do this and get up and speak in tongues and dance and the whole and he's out there in the world doing it. I believe that man is called to it, and I've heard him tell testimonies of people that you would never know. He sat in rooms with and talked to them about God. He shared Jesus with them. That they didn't know because they could see something different. Something different in him on the gig.
But then I think the reason why musicians seek those opportunities outside of what's already stated is just for creative expression. I've been in situations where you have the slamminest, jammingest musicians ever, and all they're doing is 3-chord Hillsong, you know. and you know how musically frustrating that is. If you have a Jimi Hendrix mind, or you have like a a Coltrane mind, or you have it's like, and all you're doing is just these, like, you see those videos of the Hillsongs or the Bethels, and you got 4 guitar players up there. I don't know. I can't hear only none of them.
One line.
Like, what in the world? With the delay pedal, and they just, and then and you have those vertical worship songs kind of things, and that's cool. But it's just, if God wants us to be, God says to, you see a man that's skilled at his work, he will serve before kings, right? God wants us to all grow in the mastery of our gifts. What I would like to see more of is insight for pastors or leaders or spiritual leaders, shepherds, whatever you want to call them, to not just to at least tolerate the working musicians' necessity to work and build wealth. They're all about building wealth and everything, but also to equip them as ambassadors of Christ when you're in those situations. And the thing is, you talk about, going to go play the Beyonce concert or whatever and be around the drugs and alcohol and all the sleeping around. People do that right here. It's not exclusive to musicians.
Right. In church.
Let me share something with you that most people may not realize and understand. When God calls a man, he sends them into a secular environment, and he sends them to change their environment. Joseph would have never came the Prince of Egypt had he not had his relationship with God and was willing to go through everything he went through in Egypt. Same thing with Moses, same thing with
so many other biblical people that we see in the Bible, that God would plant a man in a certain area and allow his relationship to shine, that others want to know more about him and his God.
Exactly.
And a lot of these people that super spiritual, you ain't out here creating babies to Kurt Franklin and Today is a New Day and all this other stuff. You listening to other stuff at the same time. See, the problem is you got a lot of people that want to keep their private life private and cast down on other people in public. Very much so. Pharisees, Sadducees, them type of people.
Modern day.
That day and age is over. That day and age is over. If you can't pay a musician for him to be able to take care of his family, do not expect for that musician to just wait on his seed to grow and so forth and so on. God can open doors in many different ways, and you don't know how that musician can lead other souls to Christ. You just don't know.
Let me do this. So this is good, y'all. Kevin's been sitting over here quiet, y'all.
Yeah.
And you know, he has every scenario in his head and documented on video of all this stuff.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, I mean, because I know you gotta have some questions. You gotta have something that's on your mind. What is it?
About man, I was. Well, y'all hit on that one too. Let me see. Let me go back. Yeah, I know when you were talking about I think communication is key.
Might need to go up. Right.
And you hinted on pastors not holding musicians accountable, and it's really about gifts. Just in general, it's not right, but if you have a gift, you're favored.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and it's not with the Dallas Cowboys. My guy Ezekiel Elliott, right? Like he's been getting a whole lot more grace than some of the other football players because he's Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
He scored all them touchdowns last year. You need him to play.
Exactly.
And that's not right. But that's how. I mean, that's what we do in church the same way. So I know he might be messing with some altos. I'll talk to him, but the music is hot.
Yeah.
You know? And that's not right. That's real. That's what ends up happening a lot. I did a skit one time about, and it was making light of how we do when if a musician gets a girl in the choir pregnant, and in the skit, the pastor sits the girl that's pregnant, sits her down, blah blah. You got to sit in the back, such and such. But the musician, when the pastor had a meeting with the musician, they went out to eat, and it was nothing. He was just like, man, just chill out. But it wasn't the same, and because he's a musician, and so like I say, it's not fair. But a lot of times, if you're gifted, if you're the great singer, if you're the great player, you're going to get treated differently, and it's not right. But that's how we do. You're going to get.
That's so true.
That's how we do.
I'm gonna confess something on camera on Facebook that I really want to say. I have found myself in one of the questions that I ask a musician.
Praying for you, Pastor.
I ask him, is he in a relationship?
Okay.
I ask him because I've had musicians that have come and tried to run through people in my congregation. I've had to speak to parents when I found out musicians were talking to other young ladies in my congregation. They'd be like, make sure he don't mess over my daughter. And I'd be like, okay, I got them. But I only really can have as much as they allow me to learn or know about them. But I've asked that question, and it may seem a little personal, but I ask the question: are you married? Are you with somebody?
That's not true. You have to.
Yeah, you most of these days, because a lot of cats will give you references that may not even be for churches that they played for. You call them, you don't know what they done did at the previous church or what's going on, or what the case may be, and so they come up in your church and they more so tear up they become a liability more than an asset. So you put yourself in a dangerous round, because at the end of the day, when most pastors bring musicians in, the congregation is looking and saying, Pastor brought that dude in here to play, and that dude this and this. So it falls back on us as pastors.
And that's why a lot of time they end up protecting.
Yeah.
Because they don't want the heat, because they're the ones that brought them in. But I serve at one church. I work with the youth there. They made us do we had to do background checks, and it tripped me out. I'm like, man, what I got to go through all this? They took my license. I mean, it was real deep. But I was thinking, like, this is how it should be. We're adults working with kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of times,
Especially kids.
you know, when we hire people in the churches, we don't check anything. We just see the gift. Like, man, I give you $400 if you come to my church, and it's like it's just like that. You don't know nothing about them.
Yeah.
You don't know what happened at their last church. And musicians a lot. Musicians we're like, man, why you don't play at such no more? Man, they was tripping, man. They did me bogus, man. and then like truth, you come and find out like they did some crazy stuff there. Yeah, you gotta.
There's musicians. I've known some musicians to get some churches some bad names.
Yeah.
And then the story be
all the way around.
different when you find
Two
out.
sides of the story.
Yeah. Three.
Now on that, now we're switching actually now because we're actually shifting on something else that you're talking about, being let go and all this kind of stuff. They lying about how they got, dismissed. And one of the questions that came up as well is, how do we as pastors handle the transition of a musician?
Wow.
How do we let them go? And I heard one of the situations you were talking about earlier, and we wait for somebody to get there and then fire them and all that. But what is going to be the transition? What is the proper transition of letting somebody go?
My pastor told me, we had a conversation. The first props of my pastor, I love my pastor, Bishop Brian Keith Hodges. He has told me, off subject, back on subject, if an opportunity arises and God opens a door, he will never stand between me and the door.
Absolutely.
My pastor's kept that in front of me since I've been there 3 years.
Absolutely.
With that, he's also said, these are my expectations, Brandon. These are my expectations. We meet monthly.
Yeah.
This is what you said we were gonna do. This is what we did.
Yeah.
So every month, every 2 weeks, I know whether I'm passing or if I'm failing.
That's the thing, you know.
I know.
A lot of times we don't know.
See, there needs to be
no clue.
There needs to be
It's just
more.
all of a sudden, we don't need you tomorrow.
But see, there needs to be more honesty, and you can't make relationship.
That's the key thing.
But then also a lot of musicians can't handle that. I'm thankful for the musician God has blessed us with now. He would ask me, he'd be like, Pastor, is everything okay? Did I do okay? I can take criticism. And I've never had a musician tell me that. I'm like, dang, and I would tell them, whether we were highs and lows moments, what I may need them to do. Usually the time I'm calculating it in my head. And I've talked to my musicians, pulled them in the office, say, hey, I need y'all to do this, I need y'all to do that. It can be a time issue, it can be learning the songs, so forth and so on. Because I'm musically inclined, I know when I don't hear something and when I do hear something. But they'll, I can talk to them like that, my musicians now. But previous musicians,
you know what I think?
They think because you don't play that you don't know what you're supposed to be hearing.
Right.
Well, not all pastors.
That's another thing too.
Well,
that was another.
Not all pastors have that ear.
You know what I think we need to do? We need to find a church, even if I have to see about a location. And I think we need to just open this forum up. And just have
about 5 security guards.
Right.
I brought my security guards.
But police officers. Because I know with this whole thing, and I'm watching a lot of the comments.
Yeah.
I'm watching a whole lot of the comments, and people really have a lot of concerns. Not just people that are musically inclined, but even some of the people that sit in the pews. Because they feel as if though, if I'm paying my tithes in this ministry, well, I think I should have something to say about how the band sound, how the singers sound. You got singers that singing that need to be on the ushers ministry.
Hey!
So it's a whole lot of stuff that keeps coming through this Facebook feed. So I think if we kind of open it up and just pray that God would just really allow the right people with the right mind spiritually and maturely to come in and just, ask about some of these concerns. But crazy folks stay at home. But the ones that, have a relationship with God.
But I believe that dialogue can be now and be very effective if we do put into place, like, discuss what should that transition be as pastors. Let's not run away from it.
It needs to be. It needs to be before the
should it be a
transition.
30-day notice? Should it be?
It needs to be.
Okay, from a pastoral
Before the
standpoint.
transition, it needs to be. You need to know. You need to know.
You know what it all comes down to? The contract. You gotta have.
But a lot of churches won't do it.
I'm finna tell you what it comes down to.
But
I
even
think
if you have
pastors
a
can be
contract,
respectful in a way to sit down at the table,
Right.
let them know where we're headed, what's not happening, and what
Right.
needs to happen,
Right.
and then come back into the table
Yeah.
and say, I'm not getting this from you, so I'm going to go ahead and let you know this in advance.
Yes.
Give you this time.
See, I
But
appreciate
now,
that.
if it is a musician,
Yes.
if it is a musician though, that's trying to tear up the ministry and cause ruckus and start doing this and
Fire
that,
on the spot.
then you know what? Either we're gonna fire you on the spot, or we're
Or you
gonna go
need
on
to
and
get
give you your pay for
You
the
know-
2 weeks until
Yeah.
you don't worry about coming back.
But that
and
whole
keep it
contract
moving.
Yeah.
stipulation,
Hold on.
that's
Say something about this
Contract don't mean nothing.
I realize.
Yes.
Listen,
It don't mean
Thank you.
I realize that a contract today is just a piece of paper.
Listen,
Really?
Yeah.
No, really, because
Really?
You would not.
I've signed papers.
Yes.
It'll always be in the favor of the
I've
church.
signed
The
papers.
contract, if there is one.
Yeah, but I mean, if the minister of music is feeling some way, by all means, the contract, what we talking about?
Contract.
Contract no longer exists.
Fill your cup, man.
Foolish. You know what I'm saying?
And it's
So,
crazy
you know
because
what?
one,
can't be on
Georgia, what they try to do, they try to bring corporate America into the church and say,
When it's
well,
convenient.
Georgia is an
When it's
at-will
convenient.
state. So if we want to get rid of you, we can get rid.
Oh,
And you're
yeah.
like,
always
now,
trying to make it a
wait a
business.
I
minute.
know
It's
some
convenient for
pastors
them.
Because
that
I mean,
I know some pastors that had contracts, and when the church was ready for them to go, they didn't care about no
They
contract.
ain't care nothing about the contract.
But you know what it all boils down to?
Talk.
Integrity.
it
Yes.
does.
It just boils down to integrity.
Yes, sir.
Is the ministry going to operate with integrity, and are the musicians going to operate with integrity?
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. If everybody is walking in integrity and living for the Lord as they say they are, then we shouldn't even have those
But
issues.
some
And let me
people
say
think
this
that they're
as I'm
doing
and let me
that.
say this as I'm looking at the news feed. This is not a bringing together to insult people,
Right.
No.
to insult
No.
pastors
No.
and
No.
insult musicians.
No.
Right.
This is a bringing together for information and impartation
Right.
with each other. So why I see some negative stuff going forth, y'all don't even
lot.
have to
And I'm-
argue
I'm
with
trying
it.
to block
it. A lot.
We're not
Let you know.
responding to this negativity because that's why we haven't gotten anywhere now.
Right.
Because we're so busy trying to criticize each other's gift. We're not here criticizing each other's
Not
gift.
at all.
We're not here criticizing each other's calling.
Period.
We are a group of people that's sitting here talking amongst one
Yes.
another, trying to figure out ways that we can
To correct
help
the
bring the
problem.
negatives
Yes.
to positives.
Yeah.
Point blank. So it's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Point the
this
camera,
is good.
point
This
the
is
camera right here.
But the
You
issue,
will be blocked.
Right.
Let you know that.
You will be blocked.
I'm looking.
The main,
And I'm trying to find you so I can block you.
Jesus' name.
I think one of the things that has
Come on,
messed
Jesus' name,
up
huh?
the relationship between pastors and musicians
I'm really trying
because
not to get too
a lot of
close to that.
musicians just think that they're the best thing since bubblegum. There has been
That's what we've been told.
there's been
That's what I was
yeah
saying.
there's been such an enormous amount of
That goes things
arrogance
both ways.
between the two.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting ready to go.
Yeah.
There's an enormous amount of arrogance between the two.
Yeah.
So since there's arrogance,
course, yeah.
now pride is set in.
Right.
And the Bible says that if you have an issue,
Yes, sir.
you know, lay your gift at the altar. Don't pick up the mic yet and go to singing. Don't pick up the mic and go preaching yet.
Yeah.
Just find out, why is my minister of music or my music director and I, why are we having this breakdown? Because trust me, that's just like you can go to somebody's house. And that's why I don't do a lot of visitations, because I know the spirit that's in my house. I know what my wife and I have in our house. But you can go in somebody else's house and you can feel
Yeah, the spirit, the vibe.
the vibe
Yeah,
can
the
be
energy.
so thick until you like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And that's how people get sometimes when they come to some of our ministries.
Uh-huh.
They're like, wow, it's something going on up there with that musician and that pastor, because I ain't feel God nowhere right there. And they kept
Yeah.
telling them, come on, go with me. And no, the people like, no, y'all need to be delivered.
Right.
So that's the key, deliverance. I think if we went back to some of the old church and had deliverance services and tarry services, I think a lot of this stuff that we deal with in the church, because really the musicians, the worship leaders, the choir, all of that really sets the tone for whatever the pastors
And
going
But,
to do.
you know,
And the
I-
most dangerous, I'll say this, I'm going to be very quick.
Yeah,
The
okay.
most dangerous musician to have is one that think that the ministry can't make it without him.
Oh, that's
Yes.
the worst.
The
That's
most
what
dangerous
Arrogance
pastor
said.
to have
Yes.
is a pastor who
That feel
feels like they have to be a dictator to absolutely
No.
everything.
Micromanagement.
It becomes very dangerous that
Right.
way.
Right.
It becomes very dangerous.
Right.
So it has to be, again, going back to relationship, respect, communication,
Yeah.
integrity,
Clarity.
open and honest clarity of what the expectations is and
What
going
the
forth.
expectation is. That's right.
And-
You know what,
but
though?
But I got to throw this out there because we're talking. You know, a lot of times musicians get categorized and just okay. Everybody, the musicians are just carnal people that they just sleep around with everybody, and the pastors are tyrants or something like that. But let me go to the word. It says in Proverbs 6:16, he says, "These 6 things doth the Lord hate, yet 7 are an abomination to him: the proud look, the lying tongue, the hands that shed innocent blood, the heart that devises wicked imaginations, and that are swift to run in mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among the brethren." All right. So I have seen all of that, that cancer grow in churchianity. I'll put it that way, churchianity, and unchecked. But you know, it's kind of like, let me take that speck out of your eye, and then there's a big old plank in yours.
Right.
The people that are just talking about people, not like, I think confrontation is good and discussing, okay, did you see the same thing happen? We call you, and I don't know. That's not gossip, but when people are trying to stir up stuff and lying, and those lies and stirring up stuff do not get checked and do not get dealt with from the top down, because we think the big sins are these sexual sins or these stealing sins. But you know, we become, because that's not maybe our issue, that we forget that we are still sinners that are just by the grace of God have a relationship with him. And we're still working. The Christian life is a life where you are continually looking at yourself, saying, God, show me where I am and where I'm not. Help me to deal with this part where this is going on. But I don't see none. I want to. Let's put it this way. I want to see more fruit, more real, where that's happening. Because if we really have relationship and accountability beyond these statements, then it's not going to just be, you know, a better working relationship with pastors. Then people who are rightfully cynical of the church, look at all that mess. I'm not trying to be around there. Practically speaking, you know, or all these hurt issues with people that have had church hurt, it can be resolved. Because because nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to deal with it. Or if they feel like, I've been in situations where you left church, people don't want to talk about it because the pastor has blinded them to thinking it's gossip. This happened to me. Let me leave the right way. Whatever. Let me leave loud because y'all aren't listening to God. This is what happened to me. This is what happened to me. I feel so bad for those boys that were at New Birth that no one believes, that they settled it over there, and imagine what the parents felt. You know, when everybody is like, okay, just leave quietly, just go off, and whatever you believe about that, or whenever that happens, you know.
Well, even if we don't mention that, we know that that's happened.
Yes.
In 1,000 places.
Unchecked
In a million places.
and
Across denominational lines.
None of that list, those 7 was like
cultural
sleeping around
lines.
or anything like that. That's what.
This is where
that's the root.
The root of changing the majority of the issues that we have, and this goes to you know, regardless of who it is, wherever. I think the majority of it all starts with.
And just letting y'all know, we gotta wrap this up too. So
Okay.
gotta bring it to a conclusion.
Bring it to it.
I'm gonna say something after y'all too. Okay, I guess it's on me. Cool. No, ultimately, I like what my boy Dave Jackson said. He said pastors should at least meet with their entire music staff once a month to executively pray and pour into them individually. And I think that's a great way to build accountability and to build relationships. You know what I'm saying? And just to build that prayer life, you know, which is very much so needed amongst both pastors and musicians. And I think, man, things will be sweet from there, man. You know what I'm saying? There's an understanding everyone and
Yeah.
Brian, you got something you need?
Yeah, go ahead.
You on video?
It's burning.
Just kind of piggybacking off of what my man said right here. Okay, so most of you guys, y'all sound like y'all play for big churches.
Right.
So I'm gonna speak for the guys that play for the smaller churches.
I play for a small church too.
Yeah.
So
Both
for the musicians like myself who was the only keyboardist, and you go with the pastor, you play for every service, you're over the praise team, you're over the choir, you're over everything, you travel with the pastor when he's preaching somewhere. But the moment you can't make a service, you get labeled unfaithful.
Yes.
So to the pastors, what would you say to those pastors? Because that's actually happened to me.
I think that's the issue that this
That's complicity.
itinerant ministry. I'm not a pastor, but I think that's the issue, and a lot of pastors aren't willing to say it. But I think that's the issue with that pastor. I think he's been given over to pride. I think he's been given over to those things that he should not have given himself over to, because he would have seen that there was loyalty in your tract. There was loyalty in your background. You were a loyal person. This was something you couldn't do. So the issue was with him. I don't think that's everybody, because that hadn't been my testimony. But I've experienced that before. And I think that's what my pastor calls, that's a faithful conversation. That's a, hey, Rev, we good, but I didn't appreciate when you said this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I love you and I respect you,
Right.
but I didn't appreciate when you said this because, respectfully.
You call me out
because
on keys or organ.
this is what I've always done. Yeah. This is what I've always done. And this is one time that something legitimately came up. So this is your boy. I've been here faithful for you. I don't appreciate this.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm a different guy. I pastor a small church. I don't have that many services, but I do a lot on the road. So, and I've saw Brandon do this too, with Bishop Hodges. If my guy can't make it, he can't make it.
Yeah.
I am connected enough to be able to call other musicians to see if they can make it.
Right.
Because one thing I do believe in is taking care of the musician.
That's right.
I was a musician for 30 years. I played underpaid for 30 years. I brought my own instrument in some cases. I brought my own cymbals,
For
even though
30
it was
years.
all done for the church, for 30 years. So, I've done, so much. So if my musician, as a pastor, and I know I travel, I got at least 3 backups. If my musician can't make it, I call the next one. If he can't make it, I call the next one. If he can't make it, I call the next one. I call Brandon. If he can't make it, our schedules don't cross. So I call somebody else. I don't put all that pressure on one musician because that's a whole lot. Because you also got to look at it. They taking time away from their family when they're going on the road with you.
Right.
Yeah. So I try to balance the life out so that I'm not, pulling too much out of my musician, knowing that I can't afford to really give him what he really deserves.
And you know what? I think what I was going to say, and I'm glad you said that, because what it all boils down to is on both sides having realistic expectations.
Yes.
A lot of times we come to the table with unrealistic expectations. The ministry has unrealistic expectations from the musicians, and we have unrealistic vice versa. So if we're real with each other and ourselves, and like I said, walk and act with integrity.
Yes.
Because if I have integrity, I'm not going to inflate my resume.
Come on, listen. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So and with that being said, if I don't inflate it, and I do, and I come to you, you're going to think one thing of me. So now your expectation of me is really unwarranted because I've operated out of integrity. I've inflated my resume. You think I play in 12 keys, I'm only playing 2.
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
So that's what it boils down to. Having realistic expectations and walking in integrity.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And relationship.
Communication.
There you go.
Y'all, I really appreciate it.
I've enjoyed this
Great
Thank
discussion.
you.
Great discussion. I appreciate everybody coming. I
Gotta do a
appreciate
part
all
2
of
now.
you
Yeah.
who are watching. From the last I saw, we had
It was 8, 9.
I think it was around 350 shares of this video so far.
Wow.
And
That's
it's
amazing.
been a constant 700 people watching. So
We'll do this again.
that's
Part
pretty
2.
huge.
Part 2.
I appreciate it. We'd like to thank the C-Dub brand and Loose by C-Dub for sponsoring this. Look, check this out, y'all.
What trigger?
Y'all, I got to put my plug in.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Put your
If y'all, if you're a musician at a church, or if you play, pastor, anybody, loopsbycdo.com. You're gonna find music tools for your church.
My
Whether it
tutorials
be
on
drum
there.
loops, click tracks. I keep seeing somebody say something about click tracks. Yes, click tracks are of the Lord. We appreciate everybody.
But
Thank y'all
please
so much.
let the people know we're going to do this again.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
definitely.
We're going to do this
Definitely
again,
gonna happen
but we'll try to put it in a place that can seat a lot of musicians and parishioners, if that be the case.
Yeah.
Because again, there's a whole lot.
Yeah, they going in.
They really going in mightily.
But Kevon gonna bring some intercessors that's gonna scan y'all. We scan you. If you got that negative spirit, turn around.
Thanks.
All right. So actually, Pastor Starks, all right, you want to lead us in prayer?
Yeah.
Okay. Most gracious and heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this opportunity and this moment to come together, God, to try to build the bridge back between pastors and musicians.
Yes.
God, somewhere down the line it got severed. And God, the reality is it's not about none of us, but it's all about your son, Jesus.
Yes.
And so, Lord, we're asking right now, even as we leave from this place, even as we go
Thank
to
you,
and
God.
fro on the earth, being musicians, being pastors, that we can begin to reunite the relationship so that we all come together for one purpose, which is to serve you
Yeah.
and to give you all the glory.
Yes.
I ask that you
Yes.
touch each and every one of these individuals that are in this room, God, everybody who viewed online, and let them walk away
Yes.
with this information, God, that yes, we may have questions,
Yes.
but there's nothing wrong with asking questions that we
Yes.
may be able to get clarity and answers. God, I pray right now that you strengthen the bond between pastors and their musicians in their churches, that they may be able to come together and come much more stronger against anything that tries to sever the relationship that they must and need to build together. God, we thank you, for it is in your son Jesus' name we do pray, and we say amen.
Amen.
I'm looking at the.
Can we get like a
the
group
post
pic?
that come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
let's get it.
Peace out, y'all.
Talk about.
If it's not the Seed Up brand, well, it's not the Seed Up brand.